I was a billionaire CEO. Then I died. For 9 minutes, every machine in the hospital said I was gone. When I opened my eyes again, I was no longer the same man. My name is Thomas Walker. I am 72 years old now. People know me as the man who built one of the biggest construction companies in America. They think my success came from intelligence. Some say it came from luck. The truth is different. It came from sacrifice. And I spent my whole life sacrificing the wrong things. For 45 years, I believed money could solve every problem. If my children wanted my time, I bought them expensive gifts. If my wife wanted a vacation, I sent her with friends because I was too busy. If my parents called, I promised I would visit next month. There was always another meeting, another contract, another flight, another reason why work had to come first. Back then, I thought that made me a responsible man. Now I know I was simply running from life. Every morning started the same way. My alarm rang at 5, coffee, news, emails, conference calls before sunrise. By 7, my driver waited outside. By 8, I was already making decisions worth millions of dollars. People respected me. Employees stood up when I entered a room. Business partners smiled even when they secretly hated me. I had everything people dream about: private jets, luxury homes, beautiful cars, a yacht that I barely used, a watch collection worth more than some neighborhoods. But every night I returned to a house that felt strangely quiet. My wife Margaret usually sat in the living room reading a book. Sometimes the television was on, sometimes it was not. She always looked up when I walked inside. She smiled. It was a gentle smile, the kind that hides disappointment. "Long day?" she would ask. I always gave the same answer. "You know how business is?" She nodded. That was all. Looking back, those little conversations hurt me more than any argument ever could. Silence can become a wall. And we built that wall one quiet evening at a time. Our son Ethan lived 3 states away. He worked as a high school history teacher. I secretly wished he had joined my company. He never wanted that life. He once told me something I ignored. "Dad, I do not want to become rich if it costs me my family." I laughed back then. I thought he was young. Now I understand he was wiser than I was. Our daughter Claire became a nurse. She called her mother every Sunday. She called me maybe once every few months. Not because she hated me, because she believed I was always busy. And she was right. I trained everyone around me to expect nothing from me except money. One evening, my granddaughter Emily drew a picture. Margaret showed it to me after dinner. It was our family standing together. Everyone held hands, except me. I was standing far away beside a tall office building. I smiled. "That is funny." Margaret did not smile. "It is not funny, Thomas." I looked closer. Emily had written one sentence under the drawing. "Grandpa lives at work. Children often tell the truth without trying." I folded the paper and placed it inside my desk. Then I forgot about it. Years later, I would remember every line. One winter morning, I flew to Chicago for a meeting. Snow covered the streets. The city looked peaceful from the airplane. Inside the boardroom, nothing felt peaceful. A younger competitor wanted to buy one of our companies. My advisors argued for hours. Numbers filled every screen. Everyone waited for my decision. I chose the deal. People applauded. Someone said, "Another brilliant move." But while everyone celebrated, my phone vibrated. Margaret. I ignored the call. A minute later, she called again. I pressed decline. Then she sent a message. "Please call me when you can." I told myself I would call after lunch. Lunch became another meeting, then another interview, then another dinner with investors. By the time I reached the hotel, it was almost midnight. I finally called. She answered on the second ring. Her voice sounded calm, too calm. "I just wanted to hear your voice," she said. "I am sorry. Today was crazy." "I know." Is everything okay? There was a long pause. Yes. Another pause. I miss you. I looked at the city lights outside my hotel window. I will be home Friday. She quietly replied, I hope so. The call ended. For some reason, I could not sleep. I stood by the window for almost an hour. Something felt wrong. I could not explain it. When I returned home 2 days later, Margaret hugged me longer than usual. That should have told me something. Instead, I checked my emails while hugging her. She gently stepped away. You are here, she said softly. But somehow, you are still somewhere else. I laughed awkwardly. I just have a lot on my mind. She nodded. I know. That night we ate dinner together. Just the two of us. No television, no music, only the sound of forks touching plates. Halfway through dinner, she asked, if tomorrow was your last day, would you spend it exactly like today? I answered without thinking. I cannot stop working. She looked down at her plate. I did not ask if you could. She stood up, kissed my forehead, and carried the dishes into the kitchen. I remained at the table. For the first time in many years, I had no answer. The next morning, I woke before sunrise like always. Coffee tasted bitter. My chest felt unusually tight. I blamed stress. I put on my suit, picked up my briefcase, walked toward the front door. Margaret stopped me. She fixed my tie the way she had done hundreds of times before. Then she looked directly into my eyes. Please come home early tonight. I smiled. I will try. Those were the last words I spoke to her before everything changed forever. An hour later, I stepped onto the stage to deliver the biggest business presentation of my career. I smiled at hundreds of people waiting for me to speak. Then suddenly, a sharp pain exploded across my chest. My vision turned black, and before I could say a single word, I collapsed onto the floor. The room exploded with noise. People rushed toward me. Someone shouted for an ambulance. Someone else screamed my name. But I could not answer. I heard everything for a few seconds. Then every sound faded. It felt as if someone slowly turned down the volume of the world. Darkness covered everything. Not frightening darkness, just complete silence. Then something strange happened. I opened my eyes. At least I thought I did. I was standing. But I could also see my own body lying on the stage. Doctors had not arrived yet. Several employees were pressing on my chest. One woman was crying. Another man kept saying, "Stay with us, Mr. Walker." I wanted to tell them I was already standing. I tried to speak. Nothing happened. I tried to touch the man kneeling beside my body. My hand passed through his shoulder. That was the first moment I realized. Something impossible was happening. A few seconds later, the ceiling disappeared. Not because it broke. It simply no longer existed. The room became smaller and smaller beneath me. I was rising. There was no pain, no effort, no fear, only movement. Below me, I saw the hotel, then the street, tiny cars, tiny people. The city looked like a toy. I had spent years trying to own buildings. Now every skyscraper looked no bigger than a child's block. Money suddenly looked very small. As I moved higher, everything became quiet. Not empty, peaceful. I cannot fully explain it. Simple words are not enough. It felt like every worry I had ever carried simply disappeared. No contracts, no deadlines, no pressure, no competition, just peace. For the first time since I was a young man, I felt completely free. Then I heard a voice. It was not loud, yet it filled everything. I could not tell whether it came from outside me or inside me. It simply said, Thomas. Just my name, nothing else. But hearing it made me feel completely known. Not as a CEO, not as a billionaire, just Thomas. No one had spoken my name that way in many years. The light around me became brighter. It did not hurt my eyes. It felt warm, like standing outside on the first spring morning after a long winter. I cannot describe the color. It was brighter than sunlight, yet softer than candlelight. Then something even stranger happened. Memories appeared, not one by one, thousands of them, at the same time. Yet, I understood every single one. I saw myself as a little boy. running across an old farm with my father. He laughed because I had fallen into a muddy puddle. I remembered something I had forgotten for more than 60 years, his laugh. I had not heard it in decades. Then another memory came. I was 12. My mother waited outside my school with homemade cookies. I told her to leave because my friends were watching. I watched her smile disappear. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Now, I felt exactly what she had felt. Her embarrassment, her sadness, her broken heart. I wanted to hug her. Instead, the memory faded. Another appeared. I was 27. Margaret stood beside me in our tiny apartment. We owned almost nothing: old furniture, cheap dishes, a leaking kitchen sink. She smiled anyway. She looked happier there than she ever looked inside our mansion. Then another memory. Ethan was 8 years old. He waited beside the window wearing his baseball uniform. I had promised to attend his first game. I never came. I remembered arriving home after midnight. His gloves still rested beside the front door. He had fallen asleep wearing his uniform. Back then I thought, children forget these things. Standing inside those memories, I realized they never do. Then Claire appeared. She was 16. She wanted me to watch her sing at school. I sent flowers instead. She smiled politely when she thanked me. But inside, she had only wanted one thing: her father. I never gave her that. The memories kept coming. Some were joyful, some were painful. But something shocked me most. Every small choice mattered. Every kind word, every cold answer, every promise kept, every promise broken. Nothing disappeared. Nothing was forgotten. Even moments I believed were meaningless still lived. Then I saw something unexpected. Faces, hundreds of them. Workers from my factories, secretaries, drivers, janitors, receptionists, people whose names I never learned. I saw one old security guard. His wife had cancer. Years earlier, he had asked for 1 extra week of paid leave. I refused. I said company policy came first. He thanked me politely anyway. Then I watched him drive home crying alone inside his truck. I had never known. Now I felt his pain. Another employee appeared, a young engineer. He had made one expensive mistake. Instead of helping him learn, I humiliated him in front of everyone. He quit 2 weeks later. His confidence never fully returned. I watched his wife comfort him that night. I had forgotten that meeting before lunch the next day. He remembered it for years. One careless sentence from me became another person's lifelong wound. That truth crushed me. I wanted to go back. I wanted another chance. I wanted to apologize. But the memories continued. Then I saw Margaret again, not from my eyes, from hers. She stood alone in our kitchen, one evening, holding 2 dinner plates, waiting for me. The food became cold. She reheated it twice. Finally, she wrapped my meal and placed it inside the refrigerator. Then she quietly ate alone. No anger, no shouting, only loneliness. I watched that same scene happen again and again. Different nights, different years. I had not missed one dinner. I had missed hundreds. I suddenly understood something. Success had never stolen my family. I gave them away. One decision at a time, one meeting at a time, one excuse at a time. The light around me grew even brighter. Its warmth filled everything. Then the same peaceful voice spoke again, still gentle, still calm. What did you truly build? I immediately thought about my company, the skyscrapers, the billions, the awards. But before I could answer, every one of those things disappeared like smoke. Only people remained, faces, relationships, kindness, regret, love. Nothing else stayed. I stood there in complete silence, because for the first time in my entire life, I realized I had spent decades building an empire, while allowing my own home to slowly fall apart. Then, far away, another sound reached me. Very faint, like someone calling from another world. "Charge to 300, a voice shouted. Another answered, "Clear." Suddenly, everything around me shook. The beautiful light flickered. The peace began to pull away, and I felt myself being dragged somewhere I did not want to go. I fought against it, not because I was afraid, because I had never felt peace like that before. The light was fading. The warmth was slipping away. I reached toward it, but something stronger pulled me back. The voices became louder. Again, "Clear!" A violent force hit me. Then another. Everything shook. The beautiful silence disappeared. Pain rushed through me. Real pain. Heavy, sharp. My chest burned. My lungs felt full of fire. I opened my eyes. Bright hospital lights filled the room. Machines beeped beside me. People moved around my bed. Someone shouted, "We have him!" Another voice said, "His heartbeat is back." I tried to speak. Nothing came out. My throat felt dry. A nurse leaned closer. "Do not try to talk. You are safe." Safe. The word sounded strange. I did not feel safe. I felt changed. Hours later, the doctors told me what had happened. My heart had stopped for 9 minutes. They called it a medical miracle. They explained blocked arteries, emergency treatment, medication, surgery. Every explanation sounded reasonable, but none of them explained where I had been. No medical chart could describe that peace. No machine could measure what I had seen. When Margaret entered the room, she looked exhausted. Her eyes were red. She had clearly been crying. She walked slowly toward my bed. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she gently held my hand. Her hands felt warmer than I remembered. "I thought I lost you," she whispered. Tears rolled down her face. Something inside me broke. Not my heart, my pride. For years I believed crying made a man weak. Now tears came without permission. "I am sorry," I whispered. She looked confused. "You have nothing to apologize for." But I did. I had years to apologize for. The next morning, Ethan arrived. He drove almost 12 hours through the night. His hair was messy. His clothes were wrinkled. He looked exhausted. Without saying a word, he hugged me. It was the longest hug we had shared since he was a teenager. I noticed something. His hands were shaking. This strong man, this father, this teacher, was terrified of losing his own father. "I'm glad you are still here," he said quietly. I wanted to tell him how proud I was of him, how often I had watched his interviews online without telling him, how secretly I admired the life he had built. Instead, I simply said, "I love you." The words felt unfamiliar, not because they were untrue, because I had left them unsaid for too many years. His eyes filled with tears. "I love you too, Dad." Claire arrived later that afternoon, still wearing her hospital uniform. She had come directly after finishing a long shift. She smiled the moment she saw me. Then she cried before reaching my bed. "I almost lost you," she said. I reached for her hand. "I almost lost all of you." She looked at me strangely. She did not understand what I meant, not yet. During the next few days, I watched people differently. Doctors, nurses, cleaning staff, food workers, security guards. Before, I barely noticed them. Now, every face mattered. Every person carried a story. One elderly janitor entered my room every evening. His name tag read, Frank. He quietly emptied the trash, straightened a chair, smiled, then left. One evening I asked, "How long have you worked here?" He laughed softly. 28 years. 28 years. Thousands of patients, thousands of families, thousands of quiet acts of kindness. Almost nobody probably remembered his name, yet his work comforted frightened people every single day. I thought about my own career. I had signed billion-dollar contracts. Frank had held doors open for worried husbands, comforted lost children, helped old women find their rooms. Which life truly mattered more? I honestly did not know anymore. Several business executives came to visit. They carried flowers, expensive gift baskets, business reports. One of them placed a folder on my bed. "There are several decisions waiting for your approval." A week earlier, I would have opened it immediately. Instead, I closed the folder. "It can wait." The room became quiet. They stared at me. One finally smiled. "That does not sound like the Thomas Walker we know." I smiled back. "You are right. He is not here anymore." They laughed. They thought I was joking. I was not. After they left, I asked Margaret a simple question. "When was the last time we watched the sunset together?" She thought for several seconds. Finally, she smiled sadly. "I honestly cannot remember." Neither could I. That answer hurt more than any surgery. One afternoon, my granddaughter Emily walked into the room. She carried something folded inside a small envelope. "I made this for you," she said. It was another drawing. Again, our family stood together. But this time, I was holding everyone's hand. At the top, she had written, "Welcome home, Grandpa." I could not stop crying. Children forgive much faster than adults. That gift felt more valuable than every company I owned. After 2 weeks, I returned home. Everything looked exactly the same. The marble floors, the expensive paintings, the grand staircase, the luxury furniture. Nothing had changed, yet everything looked different. I slowly walked into my office. Shelves filled with awards surrounded me. Golden trophies, business magazines, photographs with famous people. For years I believed this room proved I had lived successfully. Now it felt strangely empty. Then I opened my desk drawer. Inside lay an old folded piece of paper, Emily's first drawing, the one from years ago. Grandpa lives at work. I stared at those words for a long time. Then I looked around the office. Every award suddenly asked me the same question. What did all this cost? Not money, life, time, people, love. I quietly sat down, closed my eyes, and for the first time in decades, I prayed. Not for more success, not for another deal, not for longer life, only for one more chance, to become the husband, the father, and the grandfather I should have been all along. The next morning, before the sun came up, I picked up my phone. There was one call I had delayed for almost 15 years. This time, I was finally ready to make it. I stared at my phone for almost 10 minutes. The number was already on the screen. I had no excuse anymore. For 15 years, I had avoided making this call, not because I forgot, because I was ashamed. I finally pressed the button. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then a quiet voice answered. Hello? For a moment, I could not speak. My throat closed. It's Thomas. Silence. Then another long breath. I wondered if I would ever hear your voice again. The voice belonged to my younger brother, Michael. We had not spoken since our father's funeral. Our argument had started over money. Imagine that. A family destroyed by something I already had more than enough of. Back then, I believed I was right. I wanted to expand the company. Michael wanted to keep our parents' old farmhouse. I laughed at him. I called it useless land. He called it home. We never forgave each other. Now, lying in a hospital bed only weeks earlier, I had seen my father laughing with me in that very field. The memory never left me. I was wrong, I quietly said. I should have called years ago. Michael did not answer immediately. Finally, he said, I was waiting. Not waiting for an apology, waiting for his brother. We talked for almost 2 hours, not about business, not about money, about fishing with Dad, about Mom's apple pie, about old bicycles, broken fences, snowball fights. Simple things, real things. When the call ended, I felt lighter than I had after signing any billion-dollar contract. The next week I made another decision, one that shocked everyone. I called an emergency board meeting. Every director sat around the long table. Some looked worried, some looked curious. One of them smiled. I hope you are feeling better. I am, I answered. Better than I have felt in 40 years. I stood slowly, looked around the room, then said, I am retiring. The room became completely silent. One director laughed nervously. I assume you mean next year? I smiled. I mean today. Several people began talking at once. But the company, the investors, the expansion, the projects. I raised my hand. For years they had listened whenever I spoke. This time was no different. I built this company, but somewhere along the way, it started owning me. No one interrupted. I missed birthdays. I missed anniversaries. I missed school plays. I missed ordinary Tuesdays. I do not want to miss another day. One older executive quietly removed his glasses. His eyes were wet. Later he confessed something. I lost my wife while I was chasing promotions. I wish someone had told me this 20 years ago. That conversation stayed with me. Sometimes people need permission to choose life before work. Retirement felt strange at first. For 45 years, every minute had belonged to my calendar. Now mornings were quiet. No driver waiting, no endless emails, no flights. The first Monday I woke at 5 anyway. Old habits do not disappear overnight. I walked downstairs. Margaret was already making coffee. She looked surprised. "You are still home," I laughed. "I think this is my new office." She laughed too. It was the happiest sound I had heard in years. Instead of rushing out the door, we sat together. We watched the sunrise through the kitchen window. Neither of us spoke for several minutes. Sometimes silence heals. This silence was different. It brought us together instead of pulling us apart. A few days later, Emily asked, "Grandpa, can you come to my school?" "What is happening?" "I have a music program." I smiled. "I would not miss it." She looked uncertain. "Really?" That one word hurt, because it reminded me of the grandfather she used to know. The evening of the program arrived. Parents filled every seat. Grandparents stood along the walls. Children searched the crowd. Then Emily walked onto the stage. She looked around. Our eyes met. The biggest smile spread across her face. She waved. Not because I was rich, not because I was famous, because I was there. After the performance, she ran into my arms. "You came." I promised. "I know." Her simple answer nearly broke my heart. For years, my promises had meant very little. Now, I intended to earn that trust back. One afternoon, Ethan invited me fishing. Years earlier, I would have sent an assistant with an expensive gift instead. This time I packed sandwiches, coffee, 2 folding chairs, nothing fancy. We sat beside the lake for hours, mostly quiet, watching the water. Finally, he smiled. "You know, I never wanted your money. I only wanted my dad." Those words stayed with me long after we packed our fishing rods. Money can buy almost anything, but it cannot buy yesterday. It cannot buy another childhood. It cannot buy one missed hug. Months passed. Life became slower, smaller, better. I started visiting hospitals, not as a patient, as a volunteer. I met people fighting cancer, young fathers recovering from accidents, lonely widows with no visitors. Some recognized my name, most did not. It did not matter. I listened. Sometimes that was enough. One evening I met an elderly man sitting alone. He asked, "What did you do before retirement?" "I owned a large company." He smiled politely. Then he asked a question I will never forget. "Were you a good husband?" I stood there speechless. Years earlier, the honest answer would have been no. Now. I looked toward Margaret, who was speaking with another patient across the room. She caught my eye and smiled. I smiled back. Then I answered, "I am trying to become one." The old man nodded. "That is a good way to spend the rest of your life." Almost 2 years have passed since those 9 minutes. Doctors still call it a miracle. Some people ask exactly what I saw. Others ask whether I fear death now. My answer surprises them. No, I do not fear death anymore. I fear something else. Living a life so busy that you forget why you were given life in the first place. If you are watching this today, maybe you are younger than I am. Maybe you are older. Maybe you are chasing success exactly the way I did. Please, do not wait for your heart to stop before your life begins. Call your parents, visit your children, hold your wife's hand, forgive your brother, watch one more sunset, eat dinner without checking your phone, take the family trip, listen when someone says, "I miss you." Those small moments become the biggest treasures. When my final day truly comes, people may remember that I built skyscrapers, that I made billions, that I led thousands of employees. But I hope my grandchildren remember something else, that Grandpa finally came home. Because after dying for 9 minutes, I discovered the greatest investment was never money, it was love. And unlike every business deal I ever made, love is the only thing you can take with you.